Well, I guess one thing I did say, I thought it would be hard when we were missing those guys, but I told you it can be harder when you get everybody back, and it's been a hard couple days, as you can imagine. But all I can say is not a lot surprised me except the energy level of this team. Even the turnovers, I'm disappointed, but when you're trying new bodies in there that haven't played together, not outrageously surprising. I was surprised that I didn't think we brought the energy level. But when you turn it over and a team goes down for a touchdown, it's kind of like in a small case what happened in the Super Bowl. Turnovers for touchdowns are deflating. Turnovers that go out of bounds are not. I thought the combination of us not playing real well and them playing pretty well was a key. This week, as we just practiced now, we're going to practice again tonight, maybe midnight. I don't know. No rules. The NCAA can't slap me with anything. We just got to get our guys practicing together, playing together. It's a very important week for us with no classes. I think this is one time it's really been a good thing for us. We can focus 100% on us getting better. Not today there'll be no Iowa. Tomorrow we'll start putting in them. If they're looking at tape, what do you get out of that game? I thought Harris played the best he's played in a long time. I think some of you agreed with that. And more of it was not his shooting. It was his energy. It was his defense. He was all over the court. He had steals. He had deflections. He did a lot of things. I thought Dawson played very well considering what he'd been through. And he brought some energy. He gets 7 rebounds. I think the negatives were the turnovers, which were unusually high for us. But also the ones that were for touchdowns are double deflating. Being the last week of regular season, you got a couple things you got to do here. You got to make sure we're taking some steps towards getting better as a team, and we got to make sure we manage the emotion of seniors being, almost done. But in many ways, we need to approach this week with the same urgency that you would in the tournament. I think that's one thing the players said in the film session yesterday. It seemed like we lacked our sense of urgency. And, it's been brought to my attention. A lot of teams right now are doing that. And we've got to make sure we put a cap on that. Still think this team is capable of accomplishing just what I said at the beginning. I don't blame anybody or any fan for doubting that, but I just can't help to think you don't know what we've been through with all these injuries, and there's a process. And the process doesn't work like the NBA with freshmen, where everybody's trying to speed the process up. The process is a process because it's going to take a little time. And right now, we don't have a lot of time. But if we're asking Brandon Dawson to come back and in 2 days of practice be what he was 35 days earlier, that's probably not going to happen. So we're trying to speed the process up. The 2-a-days will help. The film sessions will help. And then we'll hopefully move on. As far as Iowa goes, they recently went through a tough stretch too. I was watching Wisconsin, lost 5 out of 6, bounced back and, got 7 in a row. I thought Sunday they played with more vigor at home too. They've been in a lot of close games. Defensively, they haven't been quite as good. The preseason, they were off the charts. They were in the 20s and low 30s. And right now, I think they're 11th in the league in field goal percentage defense. And so where we've struggled with three-point percentage defense, they've struggled a little bit with that. But they still have so many players. Oglesby is playing better. He missed 12 games at the beginning of the year, and he has constantly gotten better as the year went on. And he's a threat anytime he catches the ball to score. Devin Marble, you got, arguably one of the best players in the league. They've got size. They've got athletes. They've got good guard play. Gessel is playing very well, made some key plays the other night. And we know they'll come in looking for an opportunity to make a statement on a national game, just like we're going to try to do. So I think there's a reason this is a big game, because it was a big game all the year. It's been hurt a little bit by both of us losing some games that we didn't expect to lose, but as I told my team today, we've lost 2 or 3 games that I thought we two that we didn't really bring it. I thought Georgetown was one, and believe it or not, yesterday's. As bad as it seemed against Nebraska, they hit some shots. That kid Petaway went 3 for 12 and 5 for 18 in his last two games. The kid from Grand Rapids was, I think, 2 for 6 and 1 for 3 yesterday, and hasn't. They played extremely well that game. If you watch the tape, we guarded. We didn't stop them. So I can't give us a hall pass on that game, but I can make an exception that I thought they played extremely well too. Questions?
Tom, Brandon told a couple people the other day that I guess the players had like a players-only meeting, and Travis Walton talked to him. Was that your idea for him? And then what else do you have on the agenda, I guess, in terms of, motivation?
Well, players-only meetings are the biggest joke in athletics. They really are. Because we're all in this as a family. They had players. When you say players only, it means that they kick out people. And they had a meeting, I think, after the game. When I went to my press conference, assistants went to recruiting. I don't think there's a players-only meeting, but maybe there was. All I know is I know they met as they should meet all week. And the bottom line, I think, from their standpoint is, are the distractions of all the other things that are going on, from injuries to futures to all the things, to outside things. Are we going to let those eat us alive, or are we going to get back in and do some things together? And I think I didn't really ask anybody about the meeting. I just, all the time, we have former players come back and talk to guys all the time. And I don't think this was anything pre-planned. It definitely wasn't by me.
Tom, that stretch at the end of the first half with Gary was maybe the best, most dominating on both sides of the floor I've ever seen him. You talk about what you're hoping from him over these next few weeks and what that showed you from him?
Well, what I told him was, why did the media ask me about that? Why did friends of mine call me about that? Why did I say that to him after the game before even watching the film? And he laughed. He says, what do you mean? And I said, they say something about things that are done that they haven't seen either before or as often as they need to. Defensively, I don't think there's any question he hasn't quite been what he was last year. Variety of reasons, But I think he's got to play a little angry. I like that when he does that. It's not totally his personality, but it wasn't just his on the ball. He had some steals off the ball. I thought he looked just like he's supposed to be the best guard in the country. I really did, in a lot of ways. And I think Gary is. I really do. I think when you talk about a guy that can play both ends of the court and make an impact on both ends of the court. Few guys can play both ends. The few that can survive at one of the ends. Not many players have an impact on both ends. Gary Harris has an impact on both ends, and I think in a way it opened up his eyes too. So I'm expecting that on a daily basis, to be honest with you.
Tom, I'm curious, the center position, obviously Gavin started the other day. Has that been more of, I think Costello struggled a little bit. Was that more about him struggling, or Gavin's playing better, or what's?
We thought Gavin does a better job on the ball screens. It's a good question, and it really wasn't punishment to Costello. It really wasn't total reward. It was, let's give the young guy a chance and see what he can do. And he did all right. But eventually I'd like to get it back to how it was before, whether that means I get Dawson back in there as fast as I can and then play with that and actually have a real life substitution pattern. That would be the direction I'd like to go. So that part was good. We give Gavin a little experiment. He actually did a good job. I think Matt sees what things he's not doing, but it was not a reward or a punishment per se.
Tom, since Saturday and looking at the film in that game, would you describe your emotion as angry, disappointed, determined, or what is it? Because obviously you think there's something left with this team, and that's part of your frustration.
Well, I know there's something left to this team. I mean, I'm 200% positive. I have not changed my opinion. I think disappointment would be a bigger term because you don't expect the team to go out there and throw the ball around like we did. I'm going to revert back to something that'll probably get me in trouble, but it's kind of been the year, so I really don't care. But Denzel, and I think everybody understands the love I have for Denzel, and I say that very honestly. But 3 of the 5 passes were, Steven or somebody else would have made them. I mean, it was just ridiculous. And so try to understand that, guys should not be allowed to do things like that, and there should be consequences to it. And that's what I told those guys after the game. I thought AP let the game get taken away from him in the first double team. You got to be a big boy. You got to understand. You got to learn that people are going to do different things instead of taking that as oh geez, here we go. Take it as a compliment that they think they got to do that to me to stop me. And when you bring people back, and all of a sudden Adrian hasn't played with Dawson, and it's not like it is like the pros if you go out that long, but it's not like the pros because they don't play as many games together to start with, and it's not as easy as you think just to come back, everything's smooth. So I'm trying to pick on the things that have no bearing on whether a guy comes back or not. Turnovers would be in the middle because you're not going to feel as comfortable with guys cutting and doing things. Energy level in defense, running in the lanes, contesting shots a little better. We rebounded decently, but rebounding a little better. Shooting free throws. Control the things we can control because there's going to be a lot of things, especially on this year's team, that we're not going to be able to control as easy. And I thought that that's what I'm harping on today, tomorrow, and the next day. We're down there going to shoot extra free throws. We're going to do extra free throw shooting. But I think what I try to tell them is when your energy level goes down, everything around you goes down. And do I think Keith is depressed? No, I don't think he's depressed. I think he's bummed out. I think he realizes he can't do some of the things he can do. There's nothing wrong with his hand right now. The injury, like most athletes, from better ones than Keith Appling, comes from the shoulders up. And it doesn't mean intelligence. It means confidence. It means feeling good and comfortable. So that's, he's got to work his way through that. I'm not going to sprinkle any magic dust on his head that's going to change that. He's going to just have to work his way through it. But he's not injured right now. Is there some apprehension about driving to the basket like he did because he took so many hits? Maybe. I don't know. Is there some, is he feeling as comfortable with his shot? Well, the answer to that is no. And I'd like to say this on Keith. Realize that we sat him out after the Georgetown game, which he was really bad in. But he got hurt like a week and a half before that again in the Indiana game. And came back, played decent in one game, played pretty good at Iowa, and then it started going down again. And so really he hasn't been himself shooting the ball or being able to come in and shoot the ball extra for, the 3 weeks he missed. It's probably been 6 weeks. So, I do appreciate most of your assistant coaching thoughts, and I even agree with some of them. I really do. But I have to go by how he's feeling too. And the thought of sitting him out for a couple of weeks, when you're seeing what happens when he comes back after missing, maybe 5 weeks of shooting the ball. I don't see any benefit for that. If he was hurt, I would, but he's not hurt. Is it 100%? Probably not, but it's going to be the same as it's going to be if he sits out, probably. Yeah, Hondo's.
Tom, obviously Keith is struggling. There's no secret there. But when Trice was playing for him, he went 2.5 games without turnovers. Does not have the defensive intensity. Nobody doubts that. But at some point, are you even remotely considering putting Trice at the point and playing Keith less until he's better?
I really am. I mean, as far as minutes goes and things like that, I'm not going to pull Keith on senior night. I'm not going to put that pressure on him. But, you needed a couple days to come back, and then you got to see where you are, and you still got to play the players that are going to do the most for you. Travis Trice is playing good. He's still played 20-some minutes, but could he have had a few more minutes? I think that's a good one to throw stones at me on, because I think it's true. I think it's valid. But, I'm also in that catch-22 of wanting to win games and wanting to get us as ready as we can get for the tournament, and what's going to be the best tournament team and what's going to help us win games. And did I expect that on Saturday? No, I didn't. But it's what happens. So I got to still keep the big picture in mind as best I can. And yet confidence doesn't come overnight either. So, this is going to be an important week for Keith. How much shooting he gets in, how much time he spends. And I think an important week for Travis, because I think Travis is playing good. So not a quarterback controversy, but the answer in a long way of putting it is yes, I will look to make some adjustments there.